Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365, with your daily coronavirus and other news update. As we did yesterday, we're going to
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
take your questions at the end. I'll go through the coronavirus. I'll talk about a couple of the news things, and then we'll take questions. So feel free to drop them in the comments as we go. As you think, you don't have to wait till the end to ask questions. As soon as you think of a question, drop it in the comments. But then we'll go through the questions at the end. The reason we're doing that is it makes it easier and a better experience for those who aren't able to join us live, who want to watch afterward, either on Facebook or on YouTube. It's better to not having to keep. It's not better if I don't keep interrupting myself to answer questions. If that makes sense. So feel free to keep asking questions. We'll get to them. We'll just do it at the end. Now, bad news today on coronavirus. Not catastrophic news, but not good news either. The numbers, the epidemiological numbers, are going the wrong direction again, as can be predicted. The positive test rate for today is again up to 9.8%. Remember, we always want to. If we can stay below 10%, that means we're kind of mitigating. If we can stay below 3%, that means we're really suppressing. And we're at 9.8. That's not good at all, especially when yesterday it was 7.6, and then before that it was like 4.8 or something. So it really went down for 4 straight days, and now it's going back up, and it's all the way to 9.8%. Just over 10,000 tests, which is really not enough. I could much rather be closer to 12 or 13,000. And 1,021 positive results. So that brings us to 64,227 total cases. Of those, just over 9,000 are considered active, which is also it's about 100 more than yesterday. Not bad, but still, I would rather have that number going down. We have 7 fatalities for the third consecutive day. 2 in Waukesha County, 1 each in Brown, Marathon, Sheboygan, Washington, and Winnebago counties. Our death toll is now 1,025. Remember, the IMHE, the IHME, Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation projection, the latest and probably best one, said we'd be at about 800 by the end of August, and now we're 1,025. Now, the question came up yesterday about averages. So we did actually, Stephanie has actually been keeping track of the averages, because day-to-day numbers are actually subject to a little bit of noise in the data, and in such that we might not get all of our negative tests reported in a particular day. So if you look back over the past week, you might get a more accurate picture, or at least a smoother picture. So our 7-day average of new cases is 780. So today obviously is higher than that. Our 14-day average of cases is 787, so it hasn't changed much. Over the past 7 days, the percentage of positive tests has been 7.28, which doesn't mean a lot without context, except that today we're higher than what the average has been over the past week. So what that means is we will keep an eye on that number over the coming days and see if it goes up or down or how it changes. We have, over the past week, we've averaged 5 deaths per day, and we've averaged about 7 per day over the past 2 weeks. So these past 3 days being 7 is right on the average for the past 14 days. We've had a total of 91 fatalities in the past 14 days, which is, if you might remember me talking about early in August, about 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago, I told you about a Google and Harvard Global Health Institute projection that used machine learning to predict that we would have 97 fatalities from August 1st to the 14th. And that sounded like a big number, but actually it would be in line with what had been happening the past couple of weeks before that. And so we ended up with 91. little bit less, but very close to what that projection showed us, which I found fascinating. Again, though, as interested as we are in the data, and as interesting as it is to look at the statistics and the averages and stuff, we have to remember these are people's lives, and 7 families have lost a loved one in the past 24 hours. I shouldn't say that. They've lost someone recently where that has been reported to us in the past 24 hours. Some of these people passed away, 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, and it's just now being reported to the state. So again, we don't want to get too flippant about the data and forget that these are lives. The local, let's talk about localities. A lot of localities with high numbers today, as is often the case when we have more than 1,000 cases. Milwaukee County came in with 213 new cases, 11.5% positives in Milwaukee County. Let's talk through a few counties that have higher than the state's average of positive tests. That'll start right here in Dane County with 83 new cases and 12.3% positive tests, but I doubt that that's actually accurate. That's one of those where they'll add a bunch of negative tests to today's numbers tomorrow. So don't put too much stock in that positive percentage. And Dane County does that, and other counties don't as much. Dodge County, just to our north, 19 cases and 10.7% positive tests rather. Fond du Lac County, 32 new cases, 28% positive. Grant County in the southwestern part of the state, 12 new cases, 30% positive tests. Manitowoc County up north, 12 new cases, 54.5% positive. Marinette County, not too far from Manitowoc County, 30 new cases, 27% positive tests. Ozaukee County, 20 cases, 17.5% positive. Portage County, central Wisconsin, 10 new cases, 11.9% positives. Sauk County, 11 new cases, about 12% positives. Sheboygan County, 10 cases, 9.5%, so right about the same as the state. Walworth County, 29 cases, 11.5% positive. Washington County, 41 cases, 31.5% positive. Waukesha County, 142 new cases, Waukesha County, in addition to the 2 fatalities. 11.97, basically 12% positive case tests. Waupaca County, 14 cases, 21.3% positive, and Wood County, 12 cases, 16.8% positive. So those that are high are pretty high, 16, 24, 54% positive. A few other cases, localities that have higher case counts but lower percentage of positives. Well, just a few of these. Brown County, 34 new cases, 6.9% positives. Calumet County, again, rural county popping up on this list, 17 new cases, 9% positives. Eau Claire County, 16 cases, 5.8% positive. Jefferson County, 13 cases, 6% positive, so not too bad there, Jefferson County. Kenosha County, 16 cases, 9.2% positive, so only slightly lower than the state average. Outagamie County, 28 cases, about 6% positive. Racine County, 44 new cases, 7.33% positive. And then finally, Winnebago County, 19 cases, 3.25% positives. Hospitalizations fell to 336, 18 fewer than Thursday. And 14 fewer than a week ago. Of those, 110 are in positive in intensive care. So that's not bad. We'd like to see that hospitalizations going down. Racial disparities also a little bit of a jump today. 12.2% of today's positive cases are Latino. Only 7% of the state's population. So that keep the total cases are still around 23% of the positive cases are Latino, which is really disproportionate to their population, but it's better than it was. Same thing for black people. 14% of black people, or 14% of the cases rather, are black people, who actually only make up about 6% of the state's population. So you're about twice as likely to have COVID if you're black than if you're white. And they're about 21% of the deaths still. So that's not great. The rate of transmission today is still 0.97. It was, I think that's what it was yesterday. It was 0.99 at one point, which is getting close to 1. You got to keep that under 1, because what that means is each person on average will pass it on to less than one other person. So right now, as it is, every 100 people who have it will pass it on to 97 other people, who will then pass it on to like 93 people. So like each round of infection will get smaller. So we want to keep that below 1. So that's what I have for coronavirus right now. I'm going to talk about a couple of other real quick news items that we have on the site today. We actually it's only 10 minutes podcast this morning, went to almost 20 minutes because there's just a lot going on. And it's mostly good news, to be honest with you. Sunday is Magic Pride Festival, first of all, which is the Pride Parade. Last year got pivoted into a festival in a big park, and it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of a day-long sort of picnic and festival outdoors. And it has pivoted again to be basically the same thing but online. So they're going to have drag shows, they're going to have entertainment, music, community celebration, all that, but it's going to be online. It's going to be 1 to 6 on Sunday. The story on that is up on the website today. And then Sunday also is the first day of Black Restaurant Week in Madison. And again, the restaurant business has been hit really hard. So they're really trying to use Black Restaurant Week to support those Black restaurants. 30 restaurants are participating. Restaurants, food trucks, caterers, confectioners, dessert folks, Cocoa Va chocolate, internationally award-winning chocolatier, Cocoa Va. There's actually the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Madison Black Chamber of Commerce organizes that event, Black Restaurant Week. And they actually, on their website, they have an app that you can use to order from all these restaurants, and then they're going to do one big pickup on the following Sunday. So between the 16th and the 19th, you place your order, you go pick up everything on the 23rd, and have a big Sunday dinner from all of the Madison Black restaurants. It's going to be very cool. Not only that, but during the week, you can also, a lot of those restaurants will have daily specials and stuff where you can go and either eat outdoors or order for takeout and pick up. But it's really just a chance to try something new, to learn, to support those Madison Black restaurants. And then finally, one bit of soccer nerd news. It is game day for Forward Madison, and it's a big day because Michael Vang, who's a 19-year-old attacking midfielder, a very exciting signing for the Forward Madison back in January. This is his first professional contract. He played in Portugal in the 3rd division, which is amateur, in Portugal last year. So they signed him in January. Very excited about it. And then right before the season finally got underway, obviously the season was delayed until just a couple weeks ago. And then as they were preparing to open the season, they realized that there's a clerical error. And basically, when you play internationally, if you play in Portugal at any level above like kid soccer, you basically can only play in Portugal then, until you do some paperwork to get your international transfer to play in the United States. So we basically had to wait for a transfer window, and so now he's officially transferred from Portugal to the United States and can play tonight. Why is that important? When he takes the field tonight, I talked with Daryl Shore, the coach. He said, yes, 100% he'll be in the 18-man roster tonight. He will get minutes tonight. And when he does, he will become the first in American history, the first Hmong American professional soccer player, which is kind of a momentous moment, right? Hmong people have been part of the fabric of American society, especially here, especially in Wisconsin and Minnesota and California, for 40 years, 50 years almost. Ever since sort of the Vietnam War forced a lot of them to seek refuge in the United States, and a whole bunch landed here in Wisconsin, Green Bay, and this big Hmong population here in Madison, in the Twin Cities, but also elsewhere, California, France, Honduras, all around. But for that community now to be starting to get their firsts of things is really exciting, I think. Just a couple years ago, we got the first ever Hmong woman judge elected in Milwaukee. And now to have our first ever Hmong professional soccer player is awesome. And the story is great that his dad grew up in France, played just, amateur soccer the way I play amateur soccer, probably just for fun, basically. And then moved to Minnesota and showed his kids, his 4 kids, and showed them all this crazy movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it, called Shaolin Soccer. It's like a kung fu movie, but soccer, and it's absolutely absurd. And it's supposed to be. It's a comedy movie. It's very funny, and it was much beloved by people when it came out in 2001. It was from Hong Kong. It was distributed all over the world, obviously, but his Michael's dad showed him this movie, and all 4 kids just ran outside to play soccer after that, and got to the point that his dad had to start their own soccer club because a lot of his members of that community couldn't afford to play in the clubs that were there in Minnesota. Club soccer is an expensive thing, and it's a very exclusive thing, and it's not particularly accessible to marginalized communities. So his dad said, okay, we're going to start our own soccer club for the Hmong community here in Minnesota. And Michael was good enough that he moved on to the Minnesota Thunder Academy, went to Shattuck St. Mary's High School, which is basically a sports high school, and then played in Portugal. And now he's getting his professional debut tonight for Forward Madison, and I'm very excited about it, as you can probably tell. So I'll be watching that game tonight. If you want to follow along, you can watch on ESPN Plus, or you can watch on TVW if you live in Madison. Or you can just follow on Twitter. I will be live tweeting the game basically tonight while my kids and I watch it. Okay, so that's most of the news. Let me see about questions. Max asks, "Is there a scenario where you see the Big Ten safely playing football in the spring?" It's difficult for me to prognosticate. I think yes. I think it's entirely possible if we behave ourselves. And there's some indication that the mask order is working a little bit. The numbers aren't good today, but this whole week the numbers were better and better. The numbers in Dane County are definitely getting better. We instituted a mask order, several days, and we also kind of closed down again in Dane County, and that seems to be kind of helping in Dane County. It's possible that we will get to a place by February where we'll have been in this thing for almost a year, where we'll be able to, where we'll have it suppressed enough that kids can go back to school and college kids can play football. This is Kate. What do you attribute the increase to? Do you simply think people aren't following the mask mandate? I think most people are following the mask mandate. I think the mask mandate is, the statewide mask mandate is less than 2 weeks old, and remember there's a lag. So the people the numbers we're seeing today were probably infected a week to 2 weeks ago. So we won't see the effect of the mask mandate one way or the other we'll probably start to see it this week. I hope that we'll see that as working. There are still workplace issues. That's, I think, part of what's happening with the rural places like Calumet County. I think there's community spread still everywhere, and I think masks are not a perfect solution. They help, but they're just not a perfect solution. Other than that, I really don't know. I would have to ask public health. I know Public Health Dane County is putting a lot of it on small gatherings, small family get-togethers, where people are probably more lax about wearing a mask. You have your parents over, you have your brother, you have your cousins over, you have 20 people over to your house for a backyard barbecue, and you don't mask up because it's their family, whatever. And then one person has it, and now suddenly 20 people have it. That's what a lot of at least Dane County, that's what's happening. I assume the same is happening elsewhere. Yes. Possible. Okay, Corey says there's a testing event in Lancaster. More testing often reveals more results, but still the percentage in Grant County was a little on the high side. Aaron tells me they just arrested 2 suspects in the Anissa shooting. That is news to me. thank you for letting me know that. I will, as soon as I get done here, I will look into that and report it as needed. She's speaking about Anissa Scott, the 11-year-old who was struck by, it seems like, a stray bullet in the head and was taken off life support yesterday. And a tremendously heartbreaking story for this community, and that has led to community members really getting together to try to do something about the gun violence that has really been ramping up this year. My Twitter name is at Rob Chappell 365, but if you want to follow, if you want to follow, I use the Madison365 account to tweet about the soccer. So I'll put both of those in the comments here for you. Has there been any word about extension of federal funding for testing? No, I have not heard anything about an extension of federal funding for testing. Testing might end. This is Mercy's question. I had heard that testing might end at the end of August. At this moment, the free. Let me back up. Testing is not going to end. You will always be able to go to your doctor and get a test if you have a doctor who will test you, and if you have like health insurance or can just pay for the test or whatever. I think what you're referring to though is the free community testing, and that in Dane County, I don't know. I'm afraid I don't know about other counties, about Milwaukee County. In Dane County, that is scheduled to last through August 31st. I will be very surprised if they don't find a way to extend it. I don't know exactly where the money would come from. I think Dane County still has some CARES Act funding that has not been allocated that they could use for that if they needed to. But the way this is going, remember, it was supposed to end in mid-June. And then it was supposed to end July 24th. And then it was supposed to end August 7th. And then it was supposed to end August 31st. But they've been, to their credit, they've been extending it because it's necessary still. And I can't imagine us being in a place in 2 weeks from now where we could say, oh, it's fine. We don't need a test anymore. So I would be very surprised if they don't find some way to keep that going into the fall. Thank you, Max, for sharing my Twitter handle. Aaron has shared information about the two people who were arrested in the shooting death of Anissa Scott. Thank you for sharing that. And it looks like those are all the questions for today. So, again, subscribe to the podcast. It's only 10 minutes. If you want to hear this in a more compact audio form every weekday morning, I should say. Subscribe to Black Oxygen, which is a great interview podcast with Angela Russell. Subscribe to Finding the Warmth of Our Sun, which is a historical, philosophical conversation type podcast that's going to launch next week, Wednesday. And all of this information, we feel it's important that you are informed, whether the news is good or bad. It's important that you are informed to make the best decisions for you and your family, and we will never charge you money to be informed. However, that means we need to get our money from somewhere. The news, I like to say, the free press isn't free, right? We have a whole team of people who all get paid to bring you this information. We get money from some advertisers, we get money from some corporate funders, some foundations, and we get money from you. We get support from our community. We get ownership and buy-in from our community. So if you want to support the work we do, help us keep this news coming, keep it free, go to madison365.org/donate. Thank you very much again for your attention. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I will have, hopefully, I'll come back tomorrow and tell you about a Forward Madison win for the first time this year. But either way, I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon. Take care of yourself. Until then, have a great evening.